Good afternoon and or morning. I guess or morning, not and or morning. Everyone, it's April 16th. We are coming right up on draft day, just over a week away. He is Joe Harlow at Jolo63. I'm Justin Fry at JFryDP. And this is the IDP Plus Mailbag Show. As always, if you have any questions, kick them in throughout the show. We'll answer as many as we get. We've got a few in the mailbag that we'll talk about, and we'll as usual run through I think we're just to the west now, so AFC West, NFC West. Go check out the website IDP Plus, and if you subscribe, hop on the Discord server, you can get access to all of the great content, great writers that we've got. Ask questions whenever, personalized advice, and then you're scoring all sorts of fun stuff and get all sorts of great answers. Everyone has different opinions, so it's always great to get a few different ideas for breed values when you're looking to make a deal. And if you have any questions that come to you during the week and you're not a subscriber or thinking about it, send them in to mailbag@idpguys.org, and you'll get them answered live on the show. I think that's it. So we did have
right now. There is the giveaway.
Oh, correct? Yes. Sorry, go ahead. Yes, there is the giveaway. And I think you get, I think it's like 5 additional entries in the giveaway if you submit a question.
You can find out how to do that on our website, or I believe there might be a pinned tweet on our account. There was at one point. I do not know if it is still pinned, but on the IDP Plus account. So
yes, and we're drawing that. I believe it's on a live stream
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today. Okay. Thanks.
And it is an Antoine Winfield Jr. jersey, and I can never remember who the other one is. Nico Collins.
Yes.
And that I confirmed that tweet is pinned on IDP_plus.
James is chatty today.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine. Huh?
We got some Bluey. If you saw the newest Bluey, I'm sorry about your broken heart, but yeah. Oh, that one was a brutal one.
Not there quite yet. He's
that show's a tearjerker, man. It's makes me feel things. Yeah. So this isn't a Bluey pod, though it could be at some point.
Yeah, give me another few months.
Oh yeah, we'll chat. But like Justin said, for any Bluey or fantasy football related questions, drop them in the mailbag, whether to the email or DMs or chats in the chat right now. But I guess we'll get into it. First, was there any recent news that's really gone on the last week, I guess?
So I know there's been some stuff on Rasheed Rice.
Mm-hmm.
So to be honest, the lawsuit doesn't change anything. I'd have been shocked if he didn't get sued by them. It was originally reported at $1 million. It's actually $10 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, it really doesn't change anything for me. He's still a buy. I would be shocked if he got suspended for more than a few games right now, but that's just me.
Not been watching the X-Men either, but I've also heard it's been really good. So, thank you, Sean.
And then the news we saw this morning was we each had one of our favorite players from the Dolphins got their 5th-year option picked up. And you love your Jalen Waddell, and I love my Jalen Phillips. So the Jalen
Dolphins, love it. Miami Jalen's.
Hopefully Phillips can bounce back from that injury, but Achilles scare me, especially.
Yeah.
I feel like pass rusher is a big one for that explosiveness. So I'm really curious to see how he bounces back.
Yeah, hopefully he can pretty well. But it being picked up is big, if nothing else. And I'm sure we'll see a bunch more 5th-year options picked up, or news that they won't get picked up within the next few days. They have – is the deadline before the draft, or was it?
No, it's usually mid-May, I think.
Is it? Okay.
I think.
So I can never remember. So many random dates. But hello, what's up, Mr. Bakes a Lot?
All right. So with that, we've got 3 questions I think came in this week that we should hit on. Yeah. The first is more of a shout out So we were asked, why are our graphics always the best in the industry? And we can credit that entirely to at bfoxworth07. She's our fantastic graphics designer. That's her handle on X. And if you don't follow her already, give her a follow. Fantastic stuff.
She's the best. Some great fantasy advice in there as well. Plus, great work with graphics, shorts. I know Gary, who at the IDP Tipster, does a lot with shorts as well, but Foxworth crushes the graphics, thumbnails, whatever. She's the best.
She does so much fantastic work. So, the next one we got a question from Elena Neville asking, how much could a person possibly make off sports betting? Is it similar to casino gambling where it just depends on how big of a bet you place? So to some degree, yes. I mean, obviously, the more you bet, the returns are going to be the lines are kind of the same. So it's pretty similar to casino gambling, but I know online betting, they started, I believe, limiting, especially big money people who win regularly. Like, I don't think you could do it as like a career very easily, because they'll start to limit how much you can bet on any given thing. And so many new people just place parlays. I know I'm guilty of doing that from time to time. So it's the easy way to win a whole lot of money, but you most of the time going to lose. So
yeah, I know I'm not much of a gambler, but I have heard that if you're bad enough, you can spend about $16.5 million of your buddy's money. So it's a baseball unfortunate joke. I know if you follow, we have a betting advice guy, Sebastian, the Degen doctor, looking up his exact handle right now, but he puts out a lot of great betting and medical advice.
Yeah. I need to start giving some off season, because last year I did really well with coaches. This year I did really well with players' teams, because I really just bet it as insurance. But I bet both Justin Fields and Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, because I'm like, well, one of them's going to go there.
Yeah, that was beautiful work by you.
You get lucky sometimes.
Sometimes better be lucky than good, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to find this again.
All right. So what else? We have one more. Anything to add?
No, again, I'm not much of a betting person, so most of the betting I do, if any, is I'm also not in a state where you can, so it's only if I'm visiting other people that I can. So, well, for another month at least. So,
let's see. The last one we had was about the Chiefs. We were asked if the Chiefs would have done as well with a Gannon-Kelsey partnership as Mahomes-Kelsey, from Tabitha Olson. I'm assuming this is talking Rich Gannon, and I think you made the same general assumption.
Yeah, I checked Pro Football Reference, and there are 2 players ever with the last name Gannon, and one was like a lineman in the 60s. So,
okay,
assuming not him.
Okay, yeah. So, short answer, no, I don't. Rich Gannon was absolutely a quality NFL quarterback, and him and Kelsey would have done well together. But there's only one Mahomes, and yeah, I mean, he's the straw that stirs the drink there, not Kelsey. Kelsey put up fine numbers before Mahomes, but Mahomes will most likely win another title without Travis Kelsey.
Or an MVP. And yeah, I think Kelsey still could have been like a Hall of Fame adjacent player without Mahomes. I mean, the 4 years before Mahomes took over was like 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns a year. Good numbers. He's a great talent. But the thing that's really taken him from like being a great tight end to like an all-time, like he is in the conversation for top number of tight ends ever. But wherever you want to put him, doesn't matter. He's in the conversation up there. And that is really because of what Mahomes has unlocked in him. They're so great with the freelance, kind of just find space and do something crazy. And with a mortal quarterback, with a Rich Gannon, even with like someone as great as one of the pocket passers, like a Peyton Manning, probably, who wasn't as great, was very much hit your spot. That's not something where that would have been unlocked as much. So having an all-time talent really took him to that next level.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but it sounds like you kind of answered it. Like right now, you see Chiefs and Pats fans getting into it on who's the greatest tight end of all time between Gronk and Kelsey a little bit, like arguing
It's
that.
It's two different positions. They played tight end, but they played two different roles. If you have to label it as a tight end, it's Gronk. I don't think there's much debate there. But as a receiver, I think you can make some debate.
It would not have been close without Mahomes, though.
No, not at all. Now, I think you could argue without Brady, would Gronk have been that? But then that's just so many layers there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So. Then let's take away Belichick and Reed. And yeah.
We've got a few questions coming in.
Yes. From Justin.
Big debate with our league here. Want to mention quarterback, tight end, IDP, or bench? Won't mention. Sorry. What team do you like best?
And next another comment.
Okay.
Bijan, Mixon. So team one is Bijan, Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Amon-Ra, London, Puka, Garrett Wilson, and Waddle.
Okay, so Puka, Garrett Wilson, Waddle are all repeats. London's a repeat. So it's Breece Hall or Jacobs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, essentially.
Yeah.
I'll take Jacobs and St. Brown.
Yeah, same.
I love Breece Hall, but Amon-Ra slides in as the one on that team as a receiver. Otherwise they're just 3 2s. So I'll take Team A.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are you on?
Both a lot of fun.
Where are you on? Just if we just had the question of Breece versus Amon-Ra.
I take Amon-Ra in a dynasty league. I take Breece in a redraft league.
Yep, I think I'm about there. I would still consider taking Amon-Ra in a redraft, but probably would slightly lean Breece. But yeah, in a dynasty, I'm taking the wide receiver over a running back pretty much every time. But
yeah.
So if you get Josh Jacobs thrown in there, that's love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Jacobs, assuming he gets enough work, might not be all that dissimilar from Breece Hall for 2024. And then you just getting a better starting receiver for it. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and then looking at the setup here with you need 6 starters amongst running back and wide receiver, and you're not hurting there either way. So I don't think that's it's not like you need to get one more superstar. You got a lot of stars here. But having the 2 others helps. But also, so I see why you went for Breece about Breece. But
yeah,
you have so much depth.
There's still 1 bench player versus 2, and I mean, to be honest, the Mixon one scares me a little bit because I do think there's a shot the Texans draft someone. And then
Dameon Pierce does still exist.
Does he though?
I mean, I don't think he died or anything.
For fantasy football, though, does he?
I think he could. If they don't draft someone, I think he'll exist enough to be annoying.
Okay.
Especially with a almost 30-year-old Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I think they need to honestly probably trade him to someone that actually likes. I think I don't think they view him as a scheme fit. I don't think they like him running the outside zone. And so if I'm them, I'm probably trying to get, I don't know, what 4th round pick back for him, but you're not getting much. Probably.
You're probably only getting a 6 or 7.
So it's kind of hard to give up that without, I mean, unless you have guys that you like enough that you would rather play over him. So,
yeah.
And then we had one other. How do we feel about the Titans defense will do with their new pieces? What do you think?
I'm intrigued. I think overall, don't think Kenneth Murray is much. I think there's going to be a lot that really depends on what they do in the draft here, but I think most of their draft is going to go towards offense, whether it's O-line. Maybe they go for a linebacker in the 2nd round, but I don't know. I don't honestly double dip on an O-line if I were them. But yeah, Murray, I think he's fine. Gibbons is fine for fantasy purposes. And then I'm excited to see Landry, what they'll do now, since the Ravens defense, maybe that continues his uptick after he did re-breakout post-injury back half of the year. Then the signings and trade they made at corner makes me really excited for Roger McCreary. It seems like he's really just going to be sticking in the slot full time, which he bounced around a little bit last year, which made it, I mean, you can look at his box score. Like the games he started outside, he was a 0 for fantasy, but when he was inside, he was a top tier corner. Then Snead, I don't care about outside corners in fantasy, so that's just not my thing at all. I'd way rather get the slot guy. I'll let someone else take him early.
I think he'll get overdrafted just based on name value, contract size. But
now, if you need an outside corner, he's the one to take probably. But I don't think there's a league format where you have to start a boundary corner.
Yeah, he's kind of just a replaceable cornerback piece at this point. He's not going to be most likely. I would be surprised if he's like a top cornerback.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he's available.
Purely for fantasy. NFL-wise, love that for the Titans.
Oh, yeah. I do think they need to at least address linebacker at some point in the draft, though. Yeah. Even if it's on day 3, I would prioritize if I remember right, they don't have their 2.
They don't have their third.
Okay.
From the Levis trade up.
Okay, I would trade back from the 2 and try to get another day, maybe with the Cardinals or something.
Try to get another third rounder.
Yeah, I get a third rounder, but the Cardinals don't really have anything in there right now to drop back with. Maybe the Texans or someone want to move up. In division trade. But I'm drafting like a Trevin Wallace if I'm them. I'm drafting a Junior Colson who's probably going to go too high for where they want to pick a linebacker. I think they desperately need a 3-down backer to be their linebacker 1.
Yeah, I talked to Edrin Cooper when we did this AFC South draft bid show, and my linebacker 1, I think it would make sense. But do they want to take one at 37? Is 37 where they're picking?
37 is the Chargers, right?
That sounds right.
They're 7, so they're probably 39-ish.
Yeah, I know it switches around in the second round, but based on record, but they're late 30s.
Yeah. So, Snead tackles will be best.
They started dropping this year once McDuffie took over the slot role. So yeah, I very much think that'll continue.
So similar rate once he was outside corner, most likely.
Yep.
Though it will be interesting with him like matched up on Pittman, matched up on the Jaguars.
Gabe Davis. Bluey's exciting.
Then I can't even think of the third team in that division.
The Texans. Diggs. Yeah, probably Diggs. Diggs, Dell, Nico, one of them. Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, he should have decent stats, but yeah, he's not going to be anything special, I don't think, for fantasy.
I'm definitely taking McCreary over him, just role wise.
There's a lot of cornerbacks I would probably take over him. I'd probably place him in the cornerback 2, probably early to mid cornerback 2 type.
Yeah,
assuming like a 12-team-ish, start multiple cornerbacks. That's probably where I'd put him.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess there's a lot of turnover in slot corner, so see it. But
yeah.
Titans. Interesting offseason.
Yeah.
In earlier discussion, Sean mentioned Shannon Sharp for the tight ends. Like a pretty great receiving tight end.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dallas Clark. Just kidding. He's not in that conversation. Just from my childhood. Yeah. So I think I don't see any new questions in there. So I think we can get into our draft fits. But before that, I want to talk about our IDP Plus rookie guide. It is live currently. And for a limited time, you can get it for the price of $9.99. It's less than $10 for over 100 rookies. This guide gets updated every Friday and has descriptions on all your favorite rookies and some deeper ones. IDP offense Yep. So check it out. Go to the website or the link in the description, and you can get that today. Alrighty. Draft bits. Like Justin said, the West divisions.
Yeah. So starting like we have been with the AFC West. I believe you took offense on this one.
Yeah,
with, a guy. I was interested to see this name in here.
Right. I was interested to write it because I am not a fan of this player at all. But we're gonna go Johnny Wilson, the big receiver from Florida State. This one, it's one where it's like he's an interesting name. A lot of people like him, but yeah, like I said, I'm not a huge fan, but I think he should get brought up at some point in the series. And Denver makes sense. They need another big-time receiver, especially another news note today is that Courtland Sutton will not be reporting, he said, to camp or OTAs or something. I don't remember which specifically.
Off-season, yeah.
Stuff, but which is notable. And Sean Payton has had multiple times where he's had one of those size, just pure size-wise, a hybrid wide receiver tight end. You look at Marcus Colston, Jimmy Graham. Then Mike Thomas was also bigger, not the same player, but similar, played a lot of Y. Then this is an interesting player, the 6'6", 230 something with 4.5 speed. There's some tools there. I'm not a huge fan of the player himself, but that skill set and with a great offensive mind, if they can unlock him, that's a game changer to have in the middle of the field, especially with Marvin Mims being the only other long-term receiver they have right now. That's two. I don't know if you can get more different size-wise from wide receivers, but I think it's something that in the 4th round, 5th round, that's an upside swing.
I would be excited for my Marvin Mims shares if he were there.
Yeah,
he doesn't profile as a target hog.
No, not at all.
Of course, neither does Mims. So
yeah, got to throw the ball to someone.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's Greg Dulcich, but we'll see. Doubtful. So defense, who did you have?
Defense. Sorry, I was looking. Johnny Newton had his pro day, and I guess his numbers came in strong, but I didn't see anything about specific numbers yet. So we'll see if we can find something before the end of the show. Defense, I put edge Jonah Elliss. I'm really not sure where the Broncos go on defense, to be honest, because we've talked about wow, I'm blanking on his name. Arkansas guy last year that they
Drew
drafted.
Sanders.
Yeah, Drew Sanders. Should remember that name. It's a good name.
Yeah. Both partial to that name.
Yeah, Drew Sanders, but they're saying edge for him, and they lost linebackers. So, I mean, Cody Barton and Alex Singleton are the starters right now. So I can see linebacker, but I'm not prioritizing it highly. For me, I'm taking Jonah Elliss. I loved his tape. I thought he was really good. Honestly, he plays a little bigger than he tested at. And then he just put up the best 3-cone score in the Raz era. So it's literally on, if you go look at those charts, it's a 10. And all his other testing numbers are 8.5 or higher. He didn't run, but I'm not worried with the explosiveness. Those correlate really well to speed. He would have been up there. So 2nd round guy, I'm guessing at this point. I dropped on him a little bit. He was my edge 5 just early. I dropped a little bit just because you see all the buzz on everyone else, and he's just wasn't healthy enough to test. But I mean, I'm right back in.
Do you still have him as your edge 5?
Yeah, him and Darius Robinson would be a tough one, especially if Robinson goes round 1. It kind of depends on fit, where they want to play Robinson, what team drafts him. But I love Elliss.
I know you've been high on him for a long time.
And he's got a good bloodline. His brothers are Christian Elliss and Caden Elliss. And I think his dad's like a former NFL player and coach. So, yeah. Lot to like.
Yeah. Fun player. See where he goes. Then the Broncos only having 12. And then do they even have their 3rd rounder? Or they just have their 1st and 4th?
They have a 3rd. They have a 3, yeah.
Do they? Okay. So we'll see if they can get in range for him. That'd be a fun fit.
I assume
Maybe
they're going to trade back.
Sanders playing.
Yeah. So the next up alphabetically is the Kansas City Chiefs, and I took one of your favorite guys for this one.
Yes.
And then Peter Schrager stole my thunder this morning by putting out his mock and putting him in the first round to the Chiefs. Jalen Polk, wide receiver out of Washington. I think he's probably more likely a second-round pick for them, not a first-round pick for them. But I expect they still haven't replaced their tackle, so I expect them to go tackle first and then receiver. But I think he would bring a really good downfield outside presence. And Hollywood's only there for a year, and they're pretty different players. Polk's more of you comped him to Cortland Sutton, which makes a lot of sense as the bigger, stronger jump ball type that's going to win with physicality versus Hollywood wants to run by guys, and then Rasheed Rice is the underneath guy when he gets back from whatever amount of time he misses. Yeah. Would make this offense a lot of fun.
Polk also very good with like the dirty work and actually like Chris Godwin will knock your socks off in the blocking game, so in the run game, which helps to another flavor.
Yeah, it was Polk or Will Shipley were my thoughts here because I could see Shipley in that Jerick McKinnon role as like a really fun fit, and either one would be a lot of fun on the Kansas City offense.
Another running back who we'll talk about later on for maybe a team they played in the Super Bowl. Well, who also would have been a good fit. Won't spoil that name yet. But yeah, I love Polk, my favorite receiver in the class. I think he's really good. I don't think he goes in the first either. Chiefs don't prioritize that position. Really, they haven't prioritized tackle either in the draft. So really curious what they do.
They haven't taken offense in a while. It is something
I think
I've seen. The last few drafts have all been defense. I mean, it's all been defensive ends. So I do think they should prioritize offense this year. Their defense is in pretty good shape.
Mm-hmm. Though they did trade Snead and need another outside guy. So Kool-Aid Falls could see it. What?
Who'd you give them on defense?
Who did I give them on defense? I went on the defensive line. This is more later round pick, but I went DeWayne Carter, the D tackle out of Duke. Again, later round, I think probably mid fourth round sounds about right for him. Yeah, player I liked a lot. I don't think he's it's hard to find a super fantasy relevant fit here. Just again, outside corner. We talked about that with Snead. It's not going to be a huge fantasy player. Free safety could also put in there with Byron Cook coming off is it Brian or Byron? Brian coming off the big injury. But again, a deep safety, it's not huge for fantasy. So went with kind of jack of all trades, sort of D tackle, who I think looking at Spotrac, they have one defensive tackle not named Chris Jones, who's on the roster after this year, and that's Neil Farrell, later round pick from 2 years ago. So they need an injection of youth there, need some more help. And Carter needs a little bit of time to really he needs a little NFL coaching. He had a great coach in Mike Elko there at Duke, but needs a little more. He's super smart, strong, tough. I don't think he'll ever be a Chris Jones type player, but someone who you can play as a DT2 at some point if he does hit his ceiling, I think can just be solid, get some tackles. Player I really like.
Yeah, I like it. Makes sense. There's, like you said, not a ton of fantasy relevant spots because you can't give them another edge. And
I kept looking at it, FAU.
They locked up their linebackers. Yeah, there's not much there. So
it was a tough one.
Yeah. We'll get to one that's similar on offense because I just threw something at a wall on one of them. So
yep. Let's go to Vegas. And I had offense here, and they were also kind of tough. No receiver. They drafted tight end. The answer is offensive lineman. But again, we're a fantasy show, so we're not going to do that. And then I really came down to, do we want to go with a quarterback or piss off all the Zamir White people out there, which I'm not one of, but I'm a coward, so decided to go quarterback since that's a more glaring need than running back. I went J.J. McCarthy. I think he's a better fit for what they have. I'm also higher on him than many. He is my third quarterback for NFL purposes, not for fantasy in the draft. So will they be in range for him? McCarthy could go 2. He could fall to them at 13. We won't know until the draft day. But I think he's got some good accuracy. He's really good throwing over the middle of the field, which really him and Michael Penix were the quarterbacks I was debating between. But Adams and Myers and Mayer are really good over the middle and outside. I think McCarthy can do a little bit of both there, whereas Penix struggles significantly over the middle of the field. So don't know how great of a fit that is. But yeah, JJ McCarthy. We'll see if they can get him at 13 or with a quick or a little jump up. But I think that'd be a really good fit and really good for those weapons. Even Zamir White, get him a little more work in the run game, lean on him more, and then you also have a quarterback who can zip it in there to those good receivers they have.
I like it. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I think your image. There you are.
Okay, cool. Everything just disappeared for a second on me. I like that a lot. I would, if he starts to fall and Minnesota doesn't trade up for him, if I'm them, I'm calling the Jets and offering them 3 should be enough, I would think, to get from, 13 to 10?
10? Yeah, I think so.
Make sure I get over the Broncos and the Vikings. But we'll see. I think they need to trade up to get him.
Probably. But yeah, I like him a little more than Penix there, and also could still see it happening.
Makes sense. So on defense, I went with Curtis Jacobs. So their linebackers have been weird to me the past few years. I want to find Diablo to be a thing, and he can't stay on the field. Who am I? Robert Spillane is kind of just a guy. He has a good role, but he's still just
Michael
a guy.
Scully, cover your ears.
So I'll shoot for the moon with an athletic guy like Jacobs. So he was a weird tape watch. I don't know how much of his game you watched, but like
a lot. I always watch a lot of Penn State. They're frustrating.
They didn't play him in a manner that showed how good he can be. I feel like he was like their outside linebacker playing slot cornerback a lot of the time, which was just bizarre to me.
Weird.
I mean, he was athletic enough to do it, but I would love to see him kick inside and actually get the opportunity to make some tackles. And I'm hoping the NFL team gives him a shot. And he probably won't cost a ton, either in the NFL draft, 4th, 5th round pick type guy, and probably makes him a late round dart throw in rookie drafts because no one's going to know the name unless you're a Penn State fan or a deep IDP guy. Could be interesting. He's got a lot of the athletic traits you would like to see in a linebacker. So, and the size, I think he was one of the fastest guys at 240. So he's a 3-down guy. I'm sorry?
4.58 is what he ran.
Apparently, Sicoli's not the only Spillane guy. But I mean, he was fine in the role he played. I think
he's better. He was better for fantasy than on field, I think. And
yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't done a ton of deep dive into Raiders tape, so there's the opportunity that he did better than I'm giving him credit for, but I do believe that that's the spot they could absolutely upgrade, even if you want him to take Diablo's spot as the weak side guy.
So I know Jacobs, I talked about him a decent amount on this past week's Rider Dynasty, and yeah, he's good in coverage. He's one of the better cover backers in this class, I think. Like Justin said, he's a good athlete. I think, he would really step in there. The comp I had for him, stole it from Dane Brugler, is kind of a not quite 90% of Terrell Bernard. Fits that role perfectly. And if you get him in that weak side backer conversation, you saw what Bernard did this year.
Yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The last team we have in the AFC West is the Chargers. And I went chalk-ish. I gave him a receiver. it's not one of the big name guys, but the mid-round prospect who's got a lot of upside, Jermaine Burton from Georgia and Alabama, one of the most talented wide receivers in this class. But I feel like there's some off the field stuff that's being talked about a little bit.
There's
and
a
it makes
lot.
some sense. It seems like the Georgia and Alabama coaches didn't really like him that much. And there's something weird going on. So I don't know that he's the perfect pairing with Harbaugh, to be honest.
Yeah.
But as a talent, he kind of fits pretty well in that offense with guys like Quentin Johnston and Josh Palmer, and could put them into better roles for what they should be, because I don't think either of them are the downfield guys, which is what Burton excels at. So I think it's a good pairing, and his speed paired with Herbert's arm could make for some fireworks in some games and be, I don't know, maybe a decent wide receiver 3 long term for a team.
Yeah, totally.
Well, fantasy wide receiver 3.
Yeah. He is, the off-field stuff is really what's driving him down. I think he was at 4 different high schools in high school too. Left Georgia largely because they didn't like him. So it's obviously not knowing him, can't say too much, but it's like
I'm a little surprised that you leave Georgia because they don't like you and you transfer to Alabama. That one,
good talent. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
But Bama needed receivers bad. He stepped up this year and was really good. I think he's someone who I almost put a second round grade on him, just hearing all the off-field stuff, which I am not able to vet. It's kind of lowered on him, but talent-wise, he probably has the best hands in the class too. I think he has 1 drop in his career.
Yeah, so I've seen a few people basically say and I haven't gotten to him quite yet, but just what I've seen, he does flash that I do think he could be a day 2 pick, but I've seen some people basically saying he's more likely going in the 4th or the 6th round just because of the off-field stuff, especially in a talent-deep wide receiver class like this.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be a steal.
As a Pats fan who needs receivers, he's one that I'm circling if we were to go something like quarterback, left tackle at the top of the 2nd, and take a receiver at the top of the 3rd. He's the guy I circle back to in the day 3 as the 2nd receiver, because they do tend to double dip like that and take a shot on that upside at that point.
Yeah. And like you said, with the Chargers, I think it makes a lot of sense. They're not going receiver at 5. People want them to. I would be shocked if it happened. It's not unless Marvin Harrison's there, that's the only one. And it's definitely, I think Odunze would be the 2 on their board. That's what it feels like with how Harbaugh is. But
yeah, I see it wind up eventually being something like a 3-way trade potentially if teams can get Arizona to play ball with Arizona, because essentially I think Arizona would want to trade back to 5 so they can make sure they get Marvin Harrison. So.
Yeah, I definitely, a Burton, a later round guy. Polk is someone who I like seeing there a lot, but definitely think it's more day 2 is where they're going to go receiver. Maybe closer to the 3rd round.
I could see a Javon Baker type.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But,
Roman Wilson.
Yeah. In that vein, the player I gave them on defense is another former Michigan player, and Junior Colson. He's my 2nd linebacker in the class. And is he your 3rd or 4th?
3rd.
I remember he is 3rd. You had him over Wilson, but spoiler. But yeah, he's 2 for me. I really like him a lot. I think he's the most solid linebacker in the class, and being that he played with Jim Harbaugh for the last 3 years and Jesse Minter and was an absolute star there for the last 2 years, he makes a lot of sense. He can fit that. He's not Roquan Smith. It's the role he would play, but he's not that type of talent or really projection size-wise or anything, but he can set up a defense. He called a lot of their defense. He's a true Mike backer in a class that doesn't have many. I think he could be super solid. He could be a 100-tackle guy day 1. Like the Chargers depth chart is Denzel Perryman, Diane Henley, who I liked a lot, but it's a 3rd-round, 2nd-year player who didn't see the field last year.
Henley doesn't strike me as a Harbaugh guy. Like,
yeah,
I think Colson's size. Sorry, and I also screwed up. He is 4. I do have Wilson, Wilson, Cooper, and Wallace all over him. I do think Colson will wind up as 3 because I'm expecting Wallace to get dropped.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just by draft capital, but I love Colson too. This class, there's so many good. I don't know why there's no star linebacker.
There's one.
Maybe.
Most don't think that, but yeah.
I mean, most people who do don't agree with which one you have. So
that's also accurate. But yeah. Colson, I think he makes so much sense. I think he can really step in. And honestly, we talked about it last week when we talked about Colson to the Cowboys, but as that potential pairing. But yeah, he could be like IDP 1 in this class, or at least in the conversation in that spot. I think with the Chargers, it makes sense. Yeah, Denzel Perryman, I think is a solid player, but doesn't scare me much there. Yeah, Henley, if he gets reps, it's going to be as more of the weak side backer anyways, more of the pass cover guy. But yeah, I think Colson steps in here, could be the linebacker 1. And at 37, that feels like a good range for him. No, NFL teams, a lot of them are going to have Colson as linebacker 1. He fits that. Seattle's the spot I would love to see him in. Granted, that not at 16. And 73, 78, whatever they have will be too late. But
yeah, their picks make it difficult to project one of the true top end linebackers in there.
Yeah. So I guess I'll ask you that question now. Let's say Colson goes 37 to the Chargers or whatever pick. And how do you rank him up against those top DNs? Assuming no other linebacker has a crazy awesome spot. Like,
depends how badly I need linebacker.
It's a startup and just in a vacuum.
The way I draft, I'm probably kind of slotting him in to the middle of that group. I'm definitely taking Verse over him. I would be torn with the other two. He could be anywhere from 2 to 4 for me, probably. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, for me, I know Verse is your edge 1. I know he's lower for me, but I think I would still probably take Turner. Again, assuming Turner gets that top 10 capital or near top 12 capital. So probably take him over. And then assuming that there isn't an ideal landing spot for one of those edge guys, he's in that 2 to 4 range for me.
Yeah, so I don't love building defenses linebacker to edge. I'd rather go the other way. So in a vacuum, I'm most likely still putting him in at 4.
Most likely. This class makes it weird.
But assuming I managed to secure edge already, I'd be happy to take him 2, honestly.
Yeah. I will say if looking in 6 months, or I guess, 2 months, if you tell me that Junior Colson on the Chargers ends up as 101 in an IDP draft, I wouldn't be like, what the hell? I'd be like, okay, sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. I do think I think I'm probably expecting Perryman to hold the starting role longer than you. I think he'd probably at least get half the year.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Perryman's versatile enough where he could be that weak side backer, I think. Yeah. And I think both can be.
Yeah. So I think it could wind up then being a situation more like Jack Campbell last year, which would frustrate managers. But
yeah, I think that's good. Reasonable.
Yeah.
Before we travel to the NFC, I don't see any other questions. Let's talk about our newest partner who we are jazzed to announce. That is Expedia. If you check the link in the show description, you can get a nice percentage off of your booking. We are thrilled to announce this new partnership. Best prices in the travel world, one-stop shop. Go to Expedia. Again, check the link in the description and go there, and you can get up to 25% off select hotels. They will always find the best deal for you. So with that, let's travel over to the desert in Arizona, where I will start off as I had the offense, and I went with a bigger name at running back who I don't think we've actually talked about in the series yet, and that is the running back 1 for many people, and Trey Benson from Florida State. It's Florida State heavy today on offense. But yeah, so see if Keon Coleman's in here later. He's not, but Yeah, Benson, he's probably the most explosive back in this class, especially with Jonathan Brooks' injury. But someone where they have so many picks in day 2 where they have the ability to spend one on a running back. James Conner's getting older, and he's oft injured. Michael Carter is a fun piece, but he's not really much more than a flex back for the team, making him even less valuable for fantasy. And then, I don't know, just game-changing speed here. Very Kenneth Walker, where it's home run or strikeout. And yeah, I think him and Kyler would be very fun as a backfield duo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your early third makes sense.
I would love that. Fantastic. It'll be such a fun fit.
Oh yeah. It'd be hard for anyone to supplant him as RB1 there.
Yeah.
How does Benson rank on your running back list right now?
It's kind of a cop-out, but I just have him tiered with Brooks at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I do as well. I have Brooks a little bit ahead of him, but if we see Benson, okay, let's go. Brooks is in Dallas. Benson's in Arizona.
Oh, I'm taking Brooks.
You are?
Heartbeat there. One, he's going to go late second to Benson's early third in that scenario, most likely. And then Connor is also going to be the lead guy for another year, whereas Brooks has a clear runway to top guy.
Once he gets back on the field, though.
Oh, I'm not super worried about. Like, he might not be super productive year 1, but even then, people like his value won't change as much as Benson's will because people will give him an injury excuse.
Yeah, I'm also just playing devil's advocate there. I agree. Though the draft capital wise, I think it'd really only be like a 10 pick difference, so which doesn't super matter to me. But
it doesn't super matter, but to some people, they round 2 versus round 3 would matter.
Yeah, I think there it's just a talent thing, and yeah, the path. There is a possibility James Conner just stays in Arizona for another 2 years and is annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I totally agree there.
I think it's going to be this upcoming next year's draft is going to be so interesting for the running back landscape. It's going to be so much fun to do this again next year when there's just like so many good running backs that it should be coming out.
Yeah, totally agree.
So defense, Laiatu, Latu. Like you went top of the class, giving them offense. I'm going to go near the top of the class on defense. I don't think the other two make it this far, but there's a shot Latu could fall, and he is something the Cardinals desperately need to the point that I would be willing to trade up if I'm them to make sure I get him. Because he is the best in this class at generating pressure. If you're looking at pressure stats from any big outlet that tracks college stats, he's up there with the Bosa brothers, honestly. It's one of the best pass rush profiles you'll see. So I think he brings exactly what the Cardinals need, and he would start from day one. And honestly, it might – if you put him there, depending on where you put the other two, it would probably push him up my board.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Latu guy. I have some worries there, the athletic profile, and I think the Raz lies in this case, especially without the agility testing. But yeah, I agree. And him in Arizona, where they don't really have much else, aside from Ojulari. But I think this would really push him into that edge one conversation, even if it is at like pick 20 or something. Yeah.
So I'm assuming they might wind up with 23 from the Vikings in a deal.
Convenience. Yeah, something like that I think does make a lot of sense. Yeah. This is a great spot for him. Really, any edge in Arizona I would love to see.
Pretty much. The one I don't love is Darius Robinson. Just I don't think he profiles as what they kind of want to play.
I would actually disagree there. Just he fits that Gannon mold, I think. He always like that bigger edge, the Derek Barnett, the Brandon Graham, even like a Fletcher Cox, kind of the tweener guy. But I wouldn't love it as much. For IDP, you're right.
Yeah. That's where I was going for IDP. Yeah. NFL fit, it's fine. But yeah, he doesn't do as much for IDP as the other ones.
Now, if we could get Latu at 23 and Robinson at 35, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. But enough dreaming.
Yeah. Rams don't need much on offense. You could give them a Stafford replacement. They've got a couple of receivers, and I am not putting it into the world that they take someone highly enough to displace Kyren Williams. So I went with Erick All because we just keep hitting on all these late round tight ends. And I do think he's an interesting one. He put up some really good numbers at Iowa when he was on the field. He just missed some time, and we'll see how far that pushes him down the board. But Iowa tight ends always translate well to the NFL, and I don't see that stopping with All. He's kind of a sleeper tight end in this class to be a better pro than he was in college. And as like a late round dart throw to stash a tight end, he's someone I'm intrigued by. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like him a lot. He started at Michigan, was pretty good there, especially in 21, then was hurt 22. And yeah, the Michigan tight ends do well as well. I think he'd be fun.
Yeah. He can block, and I think he posted. So he was hurt a lot, but when he played, he posted like half of Iowa's yards in the games that he played.
I'm pretty sure he was still their leading receiver this year.
It was only like 230 yards, I want to say. I'm pulling numbers off the top of my head. To what?
99.
299. Okay, 299. I was going to say 229, and like 135 of those were after the catch. So he can do a lot of the athletic tight end things. He runs the seam well. I think he's a solid sleeper. I'm very curious to see where he winds up.
Before the injury, he was getting talked about as a potential day 2 tight end. But,
yeah,
and
it wouldn't shock me if he goes day 2 still.
He still led Iowa in receiving this year by 45 yards.
Yeah, interesting flyer, long-term replacement for Higbee. I think it makes a lot of sense in my mind.
Parkinson's there, but
yeah, but they kept drafting guys to replace him in Seattle too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's not a blocking tight end. That's what a lot of fantasy people say. That's not what he is, but he's more of like your post-up red zone threat kind of. But Parkinson's a good player. It wasn't an outrageous deal, I don't think, but I don't think he's not a game changer. He's not a Tyler Higbee type.
Yeah, I view that deal as who was the guy the Vikings signed the year
Josh
before?
Oliver.
Yes, I kind of view it. I view the Parkinson deal as similar to the Josh Oliver deal, although he was a better blocker and not a great receiver.
Oliver's the best blocking tight end in the league for up there. But yeah, Parkinson's good. Zach Evans.
They're gonna the Rams will draft a running back. I just don't want it to be that high.
Yeah,
I draft a running back.
Zach Evans doesn't matter to me at all. I was never a fan of him as a prospect, and he was a 6th rounder. I agree, Kyren. I agree, Kyren can't be a full-time workhorse, but I don't think they're going to spend like a 3rd rounder on someone to replace him. Evans got replaced by a true freshman 3-star. Granted, that 3-star is maybe the best back in the country, but
yeah, I don't think he's dust necessarily. I'm curious to see what they do at running back this year, but I think the Rams basically just keep throwing late round darts at running backs and say we can kind of just keep drafting and replacing guys. There's a few interesting late round guys that you could throw in there that might be interesting names. Rasheen Ali would be a fun one. Kamani Vidal would be a fun one. There's a few guys that could make some noise in that backfield as like probably 30%. You'd see something similar to what they did when Kyren missed time, I think, but Kyren's going to be the lead back with the other back playing 30-ish% would be my guess this year. And Kyren's still going to see all of the important stuff, I would think.
Yeah. Totally agree there. Let's see. We got two more teams.
I'm sorry?
So, 2 more teams. Or no, I didn't have one defense.
Yeah, so you got to do defense, and then we'll have 2 more.
Yeah. Okay, so I went with Javon Bullard, the free safety star role from Georgia. Fun player. Again, they were kind of a tougher one to find a fantasy impact spot. Just then you have a lot of needs on defense, but outside corner, they could use an edge, but kind of wanted to go later, or at least not day one, or like a Latu makes a lot of sense. So they need some help at safety. They brought in Cam Curl to be the box safety sort of player. But yeah, they need someone deep and some help at nickel corner, where Quentin Lake is currently the starter.
Yeah. So if it's me for them, like if I like Bullard, I raised him up a little bit when he started to get some buzz as a slot cornerback over a safety. Because if he's a safety, he's off my IDP board because he's a free safety. He's not a box guy, like you said. Yeah. But if he can get into the nickel corner hybrid type of role, I'm excited for him a little bit more. And that pushed him up my board a little bit right now. So I like the fit, though, for the Rams, too.
Yeah, I think he's someone who's a great role for him. It's like, he played the star role at Georgia, basically a glorified nickel. I think he could be like their free safety when they have two corners, and then instead of bringing in a third corner, they bring in like Russ East to be the deep safety, and he drops into the nickel, into the slot. I think it makes a lot of sense. And he's really good against the run, too, despite being not a big safety. So,
yeah, it's not often true freshmen play on that Georgia defense, and he did.
Yeah, he's a good player. I think he's rising up NFL boards, so he's probably going to be a second-round pick, I think, and a second. So that also is interesting.
He's got. I'm guessing he's like super high football IQ without having talked to him or anything. That's my thought, and that's why I think he'd be a really good free safety for a team. But I'm hoping he gets some cornerback run too. So we'll see.
Hopefully.
All right, we're gonna fly through these last two. I love this name that you threw in here for the Niners. There's another one I can mention too, but.
So I went guy who is one of my favorite players just overall in the draft right now, and that is Tyrone Tracy, the running back from Purdue. He was a wide receiver at Iowa, and as all Iowa players do, don't put up any numbers on offense because that offense was disgusting. But transferred to Purdue 2 years ago and started transitioning to running back. And he's an older prospect, but doesn't super bother me just since he's only played running back for 1 year. And you can tell he's pretty raw there, but still runs really well. Really good ball security. So he's really pushing up my running back ranks. I think he's someone who, if you have return points in your league, I think he's going to be, especially with the new return rules and setup, I think he's going to be really dynamic there. I think he could take over for Elijah Mitchell, who's just been hurt all the time, but does have a good role. I think he makes sense as the CMC spell and backup. And yeah, I just really love the space, the speed, and like he's a receiver, so he's a great route runner, receiver. I think he can really be used in a lot of ways. And Shanahan was going to get his best players the ball. So
I like it. I could throw out Guerrendo. Isaac Guerrendo from Louisville would be a fun one in there too. That speed outside zone, similar mold. Didn't play a ton, older but didn't play a ton. So guys like that would be a lot of fun in the Elijah Mitchell that role. So I like it a lot. I like Tracy's film quite a bit too. Speaking of guys I like their film of, my linebacker one, Trevin Wallace. I put him on the Niners as the Dre Greenlaw replacement, and my comp for him is Dre Greenlaw. So kind of fits that mold of exactly what you kind of want him to be with that weak side role. And Greenlaw coming off the Achilles injury, pending unrestricted free agent. I think it makes a lot of sense. And he is in Santa Clara today visiting the San Francisco 49ers right before the end of that. So, fun fit. Would be a good stash. Put him in the late third round of the Niners. And he wouldn't be my linebacker one anymore, but I would probably put him still right there at 4 behind Cooper, Colson, and Wilson in some order.
Makes sense. Yeah, I love Wallace too. I think he's an awesome player. Raw, but this linebacker class, aren't they all?
Yeah, that would be such a great landing spot too. So Yeah, I'd be
someone
excited.
definitely to note for 2025, especially he'll be behind Devondre Campbell this year, most likely.
Yeah. If that were the situation, yeah, he would fall into that Trenton Simpson type of stash where you're like, he's probably gone after a year. So
yeah, you and I would be fighting him so much in so many leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. And with our buddy Shandon.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Even as a Seahawks fan, he would want Wallace.
Yep. It also makes a lot of sense in Seattle.
Speaking of Seahawks, they were one that I took offense, but there's really nothing I can give them because they need to just draft guards and centers on offense. Can't put a receiver there. You can't put a running back there. I guess you could put a tight end there, but no offense, better than pretty much anyone other than Brock Bowers. So unless you wanted to put Brock Bowers on their team, it doesn't make a ton of sense. So I actually gave him Spencer Rattler. I think he's an upgrade over Sam Howell. Sorry to the Sam Howell truthers. And could take over in a year or two for Geno Smith. I wouldn't spend a premier draft capital on a quarterback if I'm the Seahawks, having just traded for Sam Howell, but I do think it's an interesting fit. So I kind of copped out there. So I love to see your name though.
Yeah, but yeah, hitting on Rattler. I love Rattler. I think he's a really good prospect. Him behind Geno for a year or two makes sense. All the Penix at 16 stuff, just like, please, Seattle, don't do that. It doesn't make sense for your team. But yeah. Anyway, my name on defense, I went Cedric Gray, linebacker out of North Carolina. I think he is my linebacker 5 going into the draft. He's 5. Yeah. Super solid player. I think he's really kind of a discounted version of a Junior Colson. Just super solid. He's not really great at anything. His best trait is definitely his range, which is a really good best trait to have. Also good coming down in the run game. Super productive. I think he had another player we talked about last week on Rider Dynasty. I think I drafted him with my 3rd pick. And yeah, just super solid player. And I think he had like 370 tackles over the last 3 years. I'll double check that.
I love Jim Nagy's breakdown. The director for the Senior Bowl was basically broke him down a little bit on tape. He's exactly what you want if you want to play zone defense, and he can play 3 downs because he can drop in zone coverage. He's got fantastic range, and he is one of the best linebackers in this class coming up from zone coverage and making a tackle in space, which you have to be if you're going to do that. So if the Seahawks want to play some zone coverage schemes with their linebackers, he'd be a fantastic fit there.
Yeah, totally agree. Love the player. Think they can get him in the 3rd round, early 4th. I think they have like a 110s pick as well. I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think they have Washington's 4th rounder after the Howell trade.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense in my mind too.
Right now, what is their depth chart?
They signed 2 guys. They signed Baker, Dotson, I think, and Dotson.
Javon Baker and Trell Dotson. Yeah. And I don't think they had anyone really left over.
And both those guys are on 1-year deals.
Yeah.
So I would circle whoever they draft this year as a likely starting linebacker in 2025. So.
Yep, I think that is. Yep, I love it. Love all these fits. This has been a fun series.
Yeah.
One more week draft. Sorry, he found something he can make noise on.
To figure out something else to do next week to talk about some draft stuff or something.
Yeah. So we'll figure something out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one more time, just if you have other questions for us, I don't see any right now, but you can DM Justin or I, or you can send an email to mailbag@idpguys.org. And remember, if you go to our website, either just idpguys.org or through our pinned tweet on IDP_plus, you can enter the giveaway and get a couple more entries by asking a question. Thank you to everyone who did ask questions and join this week. Do you have anything else to plug before we go, Justin?
I don't think so, no. What about you?
Rider Dynasty comes out Friday mornings. We hit linebackers last week, and this week we are doing the defensive backs. I think we've been doing drafts for the defensive positions, so 1 rounder, and I think we will be doing that again this week. Just the top 12 DBs and some honorable mentions. Should be an interesting discussion.
We should plug one thing. Steve Hunkarter at IDP Hunter has been writing a bunch of NFC series for his draft fits. So if you like kind of what we did, he's got, I think, all 4 NFC articles coming out this week, as well as there's one AFC article that's going to come out. It's a different author. I can't remember who it is. I think it's Jay Goody 77.
Yeah. And I am doing an AFC West, I think I'm doing, coming up next week.
Yeah.
Need to get on that.
Go check out those articles. And Sorry.
And as always, thank you for joining us. It was a blast and hope you got some good information. And we're 9 days away from the draft. It's exciting stuff.
9
days, sounds right. Yeah. Thank you all. Stay safe out there. May the force be with you. And don't make trades out of boredom. Or do. Who am I kidding? We're both going to do it.
Yeah.